welcome back to Mecha Rewatch. I'm Cossak11, and with me is my co-host, Lawn.
Hi.
And we just got done watching episodes 30 and 31 of Gundam Wing, and it's an interesting pair of episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I understand why people don't like this show, and then right at the end, oh hey, it's kind of gotten okay again.
So we get a new exposition dump.
Yeah,
at the beginning of this. A new opening blurb. It just goes over what's already happened. We start episode 30 with Oz units scoping out something in the woods. They're like set up in a defense line with like night vision gear.
Yeah.
And
they're like, we don't see any motion.
Yeah, the area is secure, and then they all get killed by mobile suits that they probably should have seen.
Yeah, because I don't think they know what secure means.
This is also where we'll find out. Hiro has gone freelance and is working with... He's fighting alongside random Trace faction elements to resist Romefeller.
Which they are just fine with. They've given him a mobile suit, whatever.
I mean, hey, it's another...
They're like desperate for pilots.
Yeah.
They don't even make him wear a uniform.
No. Oh, yeah, that's a funny moment that we'll talk about later. Ketra is less okay with this idea and has decided to split off from Hiro.
Yep.
And he has gone into peaceful European village land.
It is peaceful European village land.
It won't be so peaceful much longer.
No.
It's about to be World War II European
war-torn European village land. As European village land tends to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you look at the history of Europe, yeah.
European village land has a long history of becoming war-torn very quickly.
Yes.
I'm not going to date the episode by telling you which war is currently tearing up Europe.
Yeah. Just look at the year, it'll be pretty evident.
True. Soldiers threaten a man with apples.
Yeah, they threaten the apples.
They knock his apples over and they're trying to like conscript everyone.
Yeah, they're like...
Which they then fail to do.
It's weird. It's like they're conscripting, but they're not conscripting.
Right,
it's
they're
odd.
like every man of fighting age must like... Enlist, but then everyone's like, no, and then they just...
leave.
Take that. Yeah.
And the guy that they're bullying, essentially, is
the
like...
mayor.
No, he's not the mayor.
Oh, you're talking about Apple Guy.
Yeah, I'm talking about Apple Guy. He's like 80.
Yes,
he's not fighting age.
No, he's not.
They imply that he is. I'm like,
yeah, because then we're gonna cut to the commander of the forces, like trying to pressure Mayor Guy.
Yeah, he's browbeating the mayor,
who is again like, no, we are committed to pacifism. We will not fight. And again, the guy is just like, all right. I
mean, cool. We're not.
Yeah.
So
well, he's like, cool. And it's very because they're like the Trace faction is gonna attack here, so we need to rally the militia to defend the area, and they just refuse to do so. And it turns out that this is all just like a test. Because first of all, they don't need random peasant conscripts.
No,
that's not actually helpful in mobile suit on mobile suit violence. Last I checked.
No,
but they're like testing them to see if they're willing to do war. Because they mention later, like, oh, they were committed to pacifism, like, right up until the end, so I guess we'll have to kill them all.
Yeah, like, we'll have to destroy this nation anyway.
We'll have to destroy this nation anyway because it was committed to pacifism, which is...
a take.
Okay, sure. I mean, that sounds like the Romefeller Foundation.
At this point, yeah.
Like, this whole thing is like, okay, we're going to use the... because this is going to come to the next episode, too. We're going to, like, use Trey's faction attacks and units to, like, put nations in positions where they need to engage militarily, and then if they don't, we'll attack them.
Yeah.
If they do, that's fine. That means they're militaristic enough to live in our new fight utopia, or whatever. Although that's Trey's philosophy, not the Romefeller Foundation.
Well, I think it's actually because Romefeller wants these nations to become militarized because who controls all the weapons development?
Right, I think they just want to sell guns. They're just tech bros who want to sell guns.
They want to sell their new mobile dolls
to these nations who will then have them fight each other for fun and profit.
Presumably they're very expensive, so the nations will have to go in debt to them to do it.
One presumes. Yeah, I don't know how these like peasant farmers are supposed to afford mobile dolls, but whatever. Maybe there's a coupon or a discount code.
Well, no, they sell them for super cheap, but spare parts and maintenance are like
yes,
cripplingly
classic
expensive.
Procurement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just get a promo code off of Trey's podcast.
Trey's would have a podcast.
Yeah, he would have a podcast.
He would absolutely have a podcast. And Lady Un would be like his board op.
Yeah. She'd be the kind of board op that like chimes in occasionally.
Yeah, she'd chime in occasionally, and then we'd have like a different guest speaker, and yeah, I could totally see this podcast being a real thing.
This week we have Hiro Yui.
Anyway, the fight ends up spilling over into the village. Notably, they ask,
we evacuate the civilians? No. Like,
what are you?
Well, this is where we get the line. We would have had to just kill them anyway.
Well, no. We get a different line here, because it's the mayor who's saying we should evacuate the civilians.
Oh, yeah, we get that first. Yes.
And then he says, "What? Don't you have any confidence in us?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm more than confident that we can deal with this rabble, kind of thing.
Right, and it's like that's not.
It's not how that works.
You should evacuate them. But again, we find out that this guy's no, just gonna have to.
Yeah, no, they like this guy just was legit gonna probably genocide these people anyway.
Right, their plan does seem to be we will wipe out these Trey's faction guys, and then just kill all the massacre the civilians ourselves.
And we'll say it was the Trey's faction.
And we'll say it was the Trey's faction. We don't even know that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
because they just leave. Like, I think these people all die.
No. They're out on the road.
Right, but then all their defenders leave. No. And the mobile stalls are still... Oh, well, I guess the mobile dolls have been killed by that point.
Yeah.
I guess they make it. Probably.
Yeah.
Assuming that Romefeller has no reinforcements.
We're jumping quite a bit ahead
We
here.
are.
So Hiro ends up in this village fighting. He is... it flashes back a little bit to a briefing, and everyone else is in like a uniform. By the way, the Trace faction has gone back to the green uniforms now suddenly.
Yeah,
like they were the
and their commander has aviators.
They're commander aviators, because he doesn't have a name other than his like call sign, which is blue.
Yes. Hiro is Red 1, by the way.
Yeah, Hiro is designated Red 1 and is commanding one of the elements. Yeah. And for, like, honestly, the whole briefing scene reminds me of the briefing scene from A New Hope.
It does.
And complete with Hiro being like...
Wait, this came out in like the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a direct reference. It's probably intentional.
Yeah, the only thing missing is a big Romefeller, the Romefeller battle station has a weak point right here.
We will find out that the mobile dolls do have a significant... they have two significant weaknesses.
Yeah.
One is buster cannons.
Yeah, that just overload their shields.
Well, the second is the lasers on carriers, which go through their shields for some reason.
On one of the carrier types, yeah. Particularly, their, suborbital hop carriers.
Right. But the third is that the slow blade pierces the shield, because you can just punch them.
Yeah.
Like, through the shield, you can just send your hand through and punch them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on Dune rules. It's Dune rules.
It is. These shields operate on Dune rules.
But the next thing Hiro's going to have to do is walk without rhythm so he won't attract the worm. Like...
Yes.
Hiro Yui, I think you mean Yisan al-Galip.
Yeah. Well, and as we... no, it's Ketra who has to learn to walk without rhythm.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Hiro is Ketra's Duncan, Idaho.
Sure.
Ketra will return to the Middle East. And will recruit the Fremen. I mean, the
Magna Corps.
Yeah.
Yes. He who controls the Gundadium controls the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, it's really funny seeing Hiro in this briefing because he doesn't have a uniform or anything. He's just sitting in his standard tank top and shorts ensemble, looking serious as everyone else.
Totally, he is taking this briefing like a soldier, right? Like he's not. Yeah.
He's just... It's much like... Okay, this is going to take us back quite a bit. But the scene in, I think it was episode 7, prior to the New Edwards base attack, where it shows that wide panning shot of all the generals in their khaki uniforms, and then it shows Treize.
This is Treize and he's blue.
Yeah, Treize and Un, because it's Treize and Un sitting right next to you. You see these little blue and red dots.
Well, and that made sense because they had different uniforms because they were from Oz instead of the Alliance military. Mm-hmm. So that worked. This is just, I guess they didn't have a uniform in his size. Mm-hmm. Oh, and also he's freelance, so I guess he doesn't have to wear a uniform.
Also, never mind that Treize and Un have different colors than almost every single Oz operative.
Well, Un wears one that other people sometimes wear. So other people dress in the red occasionally.
Yeah, notably Zex
did. Yeah, mostly. But nobody else has the blue. Presumably nobody else is of excellency rank.
Yeah, I think that is Treize's, like, commander-in-chief of Oz uniform. So. And I think the red is colonels, because Zex is a colonel and Lady Un is a colonel.
Right, I don't think we've seen any other colonels. So.
Yeah, well, the only other officer we've seen is Noin and, like, a couple other guys who are all lieutenants. Yeah. And they wear the standard uniform. Mm-hmm. Just with a few extra, like, braids and epaulets.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway. Changing uniform color based on rank is a little weird.
Yeah.
But I guess they're all in mobile suits. They're not worried about, like, snipers.
Well, there's that. And again, like, it's very clear early on that mobile suits, at least in the early parts of this series, are seen in universe as kind of like how elite cavalry was seen in, like, Napoleonic era.
Yes, true.
Which is why they wear these very Napoleonic era style uniforms. We cut from that. Well, Ketra's there too. Ketra's in the middle, like, sees Hiro fighting these guys, and he's torn on what to do.
He has this line about how, like, getting involved in these fights will destroy us or something. Mm-hmm. It's...
Yeah.
Which more of this show's wacky philosophy.
Well, and notably, Hiro has explained to Ketra why he's doing what he's doing.
He's like, I'm letting Oz know where I am. Or, not Oz, but letting the Roman Feather Foundation know where I am.
And that I'm still alive. Basically, as a big F-you to, you have an execution order out for me.
This is my vengeance.
Yeah, right? Come and get me if you think you're hard enough.
Yeah, basically. Which, I mean, as it turns out, the mobile dolls very much are hard enough. They get him, essentially.
Yeah, well, and notably, Hiro will outright broadcast over an open channel that he's a Gundam pilot in order to draw fire because he realizes that the civilians haven't been evacuated.
Yeah, they're like in a church and they're trying to get out.
So he decides to change his mission parameters.
Yeah, he's like, I have changed my own orders. Suck it.
And the Commander Aviators is like, what's going on? Hiro!
Yeah.
Or, well, Red One, what's going on? Like...
You've turned off your targeting computer.
Yeah, and Hiro basically goes, I have altered the plan. Pray I don't alter it further.
Yeah. This battle is kind of going their way, and he evacuates these civilians.
And I will say, the battle scenes in this are actually kind of cool.
Oh, they're pretty good.
Because we get the, at the beginning of this battle, prior to their fighting in the actual city proper... Their plan is to have Blue Force, which is led by Commander Aviators, launch a diversionary attack to sucker the enemy garrison out of the village into a killing ground where there's a bunch of Leos led by Hiro Yui in spider holes with camo net over them.
Yes, and they ambush them. It's a good plan. It's a solid plan.
Yeah, really good tactic. Classic warfare tactics.
Yes, no, it's solid. It's fine.
It's fine. I wouldn't
quite. It's not brilliant. It's normal.
It's pretty standard guerrilla war.
But it's better than we've seen in most of this show, so it's a nice relief.
Yeah, the blue Commander Blue must be a tactical genius compared to some of his contemporaries.
Commander Blue is in fact Hannibal Reborn.
I would believe he would believe that.
Yeah.
He gives very Patton-y vibes.
It does. It really does. So they do this, and they kind of win. It goes fine.
Yeah. Hiro calls the retreat anyway.
Yeah, here's like, which turns out is a good idea. Because then Oz is like, deploy the mobile dolls.
Yeah. Bring the hammer
And notably, we see the mobile dolls deploy in, like, greater numbers than I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, they deploy them en masse.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool shot here.
Right, it's super cool, because they're in, like, they land in smoke, and then just the purple, like, eyeball things light up in the smoke, and they're terrifying, as they should be.
Yeah,
like...
No. And the smoke doesn't even clear, and then you just see a volley of laser fire come out of it.
Yeah, and they just wipe out the Trace faction guys.
Yeah,
like,
the Trace faction Leos have nothing on these new
absolutely.
weapons.
They cannot harm them because of the shields. Their laser cannons, like,
one shot,
absolutely devastate them.
Yeah.
Hero lasts the longest, which he has a very weird, confusing monologue while he's being shot to death.
Yeah.
About how he's gonna last the longest, even longer than Raylena of the Sank Kingdom.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
The only thing I can possibly think that would draw that statement is he views Raylena as someone who has given up on the fight.
I guess.
But I didn't think he ever saw her as a contemporary
as in the fight. The fight
to begin with.
It's so weird.
It is a weird line that comes out of left field and is not clarified or expounded.
Like, the I'm gonna last the longest thing is strange but understandable. The even longer than Raylena of the Sanctum. What does that mean? You barely talk about her, hero.
It is yet another line, and we've had a few of these lines where the line is kind of odd at first, but scans up until, like, there's this, like, extra third of the line that didn't need to be there.
And it was, like, exposition-y, but not. They talk in, like, wrestler talk. If you've ever, watched, WWE where they're talking.
I knew it sounded familiar.
Like, you know, it's very, you give someone's, like, full titles and, like, explain who they are in the process of saying their name, which is not a way that normal people interact, right? It's strange. And I don't know why this show does it. I get why wrestling does it, because they're trying to remind you of who the character is.
I have to wonder if it's a translation thing.
I suspect some of it is translation.
Well, because I think at least one of those lines, they did it because they just needed something that was vaguely along the same lines.
Yes, I think it's a line length thing.
Yeah, they needed to match up with the lip flaps.
Yeah, but even then the line doesn't make sense. Even then, I'm gonna last longer than Raylena. Still doesn't make sense.
No, it does not.
It still, like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's very strange. It's a very strange line that is never really, as far as I
doesn't come back.
Doesn't. Come
I don't think it comes back.
No. Because if it was going to, it would come back next episode, and it doesn't.
It doesn't at all.
So then we cut to the Sank Kingdom again.
Yeah.
And Raylena is training her peace monks / clerics.
They are apparently, like, the daughters of all the rulers of peace-minded nations.
Yeah.
From which we can presume a couple of things. One, the peace-minded nations are apparently very, like, okay with being led by the Sank Kingdom. Sure. But also, like, apparently they all have some sort of matrilineal succession.
Yeah, because
she's like, you will all eventually be like the rulers of your nations. And it's like, are you implying that none of them are democracies? Is that what I'm hearing? Because that's not okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very odd.
I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
And then also, it's always going to pass to the daughter, right? Well, there are no males here.
Yeah, I think they're like the eldest daughters from all those nations.
Well, sure,
which is so it's some of them could just be eldest child.
Well, sure, I'm sure some of them are, but you're telling me not a single eldest child was male?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Odd.
It is.
It's just odd.
We'll get more on the school later.
Oh, we sure will.
Notably, Dorothy uses this moment to espouse her personal philosophy on battle.
Yeah.
And how it is classic. It is humanity's nature and destiny to fight, and so we should embrace that, not
Right. Which is, interestingly, not the philosophy of her father, but the philosophy of Trey's.
Well, sort of. It's a little bit different from Trey's.
It is slightly different from Trey's, but it's much more in line with Trey's than with her. I don't think we found out yet that her father is the leader of Romefeller. She mentions it at some point.
I think she mentioned it. Actually, I think it was mentioned by Relina to her last episode.
Maybe.
You're right. Yeah.
But
it hasn't come up much.
It hasn't come up much. Which explains why she inherited the strange facial hair. Runs in the family. Yeah. She's like, yeah, it is in man's nature to fight. Like, she says, like, she basically says, and this is maybe not totally, she makes some good points here, but she's like, yeah, the world that Relina wants is a world where everyone is Relina, and that world would be boring.
Yeah.
To which I would say, yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kinda would be.
She basically says, yes, there would be no conflict there, but it would also be boring because everyone would be the same person.
And then she makes another pretty salient point, and I can't remember what it was, but it's...
Well, it's to do with pacifism, like total pacifism, and not being able to...
like, stop anyone.
Yeah.
She's basically like, okay, well, you're a pacifist and I'm not. How are you gonna, like, make me a pacifist, right?
Yeah.
It's the same issue I have a lot of times with, like, anarchists, right? Where it's like, well, you can't enforce your belief on other people, so what if other people just choose not to be anarchists?
Yeah.
Right? Like, the pacifism here has the same problem of, like, well, you can't make anyone else a pacifist. They have to want to be. And Relina is like, that's what it is. Relina says, like, well, I believe everyone truly wants to be a pacifist. And this chick is like, no. They don't. Like...
Yeah.
Some people do, but not everybody.
Right. And what do you do if those people decide...
What do you do if those people decide to fight you?
Yeah.
Which is going to come up next episode.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
So we go back to war-torn European village land.
Yeah.
Romefeller has deployed the Virgos. They're...
Yeah, all that happens.
Yeah, all that happens. We also get a quick scene where Pagan, Relina's butler... expresses some concern to Relina, both about how Relina is going about her policies and also about Dorothy in specific.
Yes.
And then he eventually tells her, and at first we think, oh, he's going to rat out Noin. Because Noin has been secretly building up a military under Relina's nose.
Right, because Noin's not stupid.
Yeah. Instead, he goes, we found Hiro Yui.
Yeah.
He's on Earth.
And she's like, Hiro Yui?
Yeah, like the exact response she would expect.
Almost as a spit take. If she had been drinking something, she would have.
Yeah, right into Pagan's face.
Yeah. His eyebrows can absorb it.
Yeah, his mustache too. He's got a very big mustache.
Maybe he's related to the leader of the Romefeller Foundation.
No, he got that from following the previous leader of the Saint Kingdom, the man with the most majestic beard on the planet.
Of course. Really a war of facial hair.
It is. We have the mustache supremacy and the goateed warmongers.
Yes. And the beards of peace.
And the true full beards of peace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the Leos get massacred by the mobile dolls. Ketra gets a very stilted, like, exposition / philosophy dump from Vegetable Man. Or Apple Cart Man.
Apples.
Yeah. Apple Man.
But yeah, Apple Man is like, oh yeah, no, we're... Well, because Ketra remarks, like, we're... Like, your town is Dunzo.
Yeah.
Like, and you're all evacuating. But, like, he comments... And this is an interesting salient point to, like, real life. Only the soldiers are panicking. All of the civilians seem calm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy explains in lengthy terms how they're all pacifists and they just don't care. And they all follow the Saint Kingdom and
that's where they're headed.
And that's where they're headed, and he's like, the Saint Kingdom?
Sounds like a nifty place.
Which is so sad, because there's a real thing in real life about how, like, normal people don't panic and people in charge do. That could have been the point here, and it's just not. It's a shame, because Ketra, like hits on that point, and then it's totally abandoned.
Yeah.
But that's a real thing. We don't need to get into it, but go look up, like, Elite Panic. It's actually really cool.
It's something I've witnessed before in my previous job.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally a thing. It's very well documented scientifically. It's really cool. Anyway, we skipped over that.
Yeah.
He then takes a Taurus.
Takes an Aries.
Aries.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, because there's two Aries who are like kind of standing guard over the convoy.
Yes.
Presumably to genocide them when they receive word from their commander.
Oh, I thought these Aries were the Trace faction Aries.
No, those Aries, because the Trace faction guys only have Leos. They don't have any Aries.
Oh, yeah. Makes this scene way weirder.
Yeah.
Alright, whatever. He just, like, takes an Aries and leaves. They don't even, like, stop him.
No. The other Aries is right there. You can't fly after him. He doesn't.
It doesn't. That's why I thought that they were Trace faction guys, because they're just like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, notably, he throws the guy out of the fucking Aries.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, a kingdom dedicated to peace? That sounds like my kind of jam. I'm gonna violently steal this...
Steal this mech! Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to save Hero.
Yeah, he goes to save Hero, and Hero is once again denied his desired end, this time by Ketra's timely intervention.
Well, Ketra and Noin's timely intervention.
Well, Ketra, first of all, this is where we see that the slow blade
This is where we get the slow blade.
Because there's a Virgo that's about to coup de grace Hero.
Yeah.
And Ketra just punches it.
Yep. Just punches it. And this will happen a couple of times in these episodes.
And then Noin comes in, drops the Buster Cannon.
Just the Buster Cannon. Apparently its power is self-contained. It's not like feeding off the reactor.
Because they don't do a good job of explaining this in the actual show. The Buster Cannon for the baseline 0-1 has a limited number of shots.
Yes.
It only has like 3 or 4 shots.
Yeah.
That's the rotating cylinder on it.
Right.
And Ketra calls it a beam Gatling.
He does.
That is not what that thing is.
No, it's not at all.
If anything had a beam Gatling, if anyone had a Gatling anything, it's Troa.
Well, Troa's dead, so somebody else can have Gatling weapons.
Yeah, that's fair. Dr. J is working on the Gatling Buster Cannon.
Yeah.
He does like his giant energy cannons, that man.
What's his specialty? We went over this, right? They each have a specialty. His is giant energy weapons.
Yep.
Dr. J would build the Death Star if someone asked him to.
I mean, he kind of does at one point.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But we'll get to that.
Christ.
Ketra saves Hiro. Noin saves Hiro and Ketra.
Yeah.
Notably, we find another weapon. This is where we also find out
that Noin's carrier just shoots 2 of the...
With this weird, like, very tight focus beam that we don't see on any other...
they have their shields up.
Yeah.
And it just goes through and shoots them.
Yeah, and we never see this weapon on anything other than that carrier. And I question why, because it seems very effective.
I mean, the answer is that scene shouldn't have been in the show. It wasn't supposed to do that. Somebody animated a thing that was not.
And we also find that the Buster Cannon is effective just by virtue of the fact that it's just so much energy it overloads.
Yeah, now crucially, because when the Buster Cannon fires, like there's resistance, and then the shield is overwhelmed, and then they're destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
The carrier laser just like pinpoint cuts them in half. Through the shield.
It just burns straight.
The shield doesn't even react to it.
Yeah.
Which is
weird.
A thing.
Maybe get some of those.
Yeah. Like a lot more of those. Like
maybe
put
only
deploy
Leos.
That weapon.
Like
it's hyper accurate too, which is impressive given that she's like flying it.
And she's not flying it slow either.
No.
She's flying at nap of the earth.
Yeah. And it's like turreted. It more of those. Just get more of those.
Yeah.
Whoever makes those, get more of them.
Yeah. And then get like some like man portable ones. Put them on Leos. Like,
sure.
Leos
just fly those carriers around.
Like, yeah.
Anyway, the Buster Cannon works. Surprise. Obviously it works. Like, which is funny because the beam that is supposed to be the beam that can destroy anything didn't go through this shield. Buster Cannon does though.
Yeah. Well, it didn't go through the version of the shield.
That's true. I guess these are the weaker version of the shield.
Well, because they only have like 3 nodes per mech.
Sure.
And the Mercurius has like
Had
12
past tense
nodes.
Yeah, no, that's true. These are the weaker version of the shield. Maybe they shouldn't have given them weaker version to the shield.
Well, it's more that for some reason, unlike all the other times we've seen them, the Virgos don't interlock their shield.
Yeah, they don't do their like phalanx thing.
Yeah.
One presumes because they also just stand there and take it. One presumes their AIs have just gotten used to being unkillable.
Yeah, I think that's probably
and
the
they
case.
Just don't recognize the threat of the giant beam cannon because they don't think giant beam cannons can hurt them.
Especially because the giant beam cannon is resisted at first.
It's resisted and it's not being fired by a Gundam.
Yeah.
Right? It's just being fired by a Leo's firing like a giant cannon at me. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
a grunt suit.
Yeah. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. Like, I've taken this hit 1,000 times and then that was stronger.
Yeah, and then they get to the Saint Kingdom.
Yeah, they go to the Saint Kingdom.
And Relina...
She looks like she's gonna be mad at Hero at first.
And you were chanting slap.
I was like, slap him. Right?
Yeah.
But she's committed to total pacifism. She can't slap him. And instead
she would lose her peace magic powers if she did.
Peace powers. Instead she just like leans down on the like
edge of the board
gantry thing and like stares up at Hero longingly, and Noin has some kind that's right, Noin and I think it's Pagan in the plane talk about like, doesn't this make it like more likely she's gonna find out about our secret project to create a military for her peace kingdom? And they're like, yeah, but that's a risk we're gonna have to take, like, because
we need the Gundam pilots.
We need the Gundam pilots. And we're not going to try to keep Hero secret from Relina, because that'd be stupid.
Yeah.
We couldn't contain that boy if we wanted to.
Literally.
Yes. Many have tried.
So then, we go to episode 31.
Sure do.
And this episode weirdly makes the previous two episodes make a lot more sense.
This episode, spoilers, will eventually come to the conclusion that everything everyone said in the previous episodes was nonsense.
We'd already known.
Which we already knew because we had brains. But we thought that the show was trying to espouse this stuff as, like, functional. And no, it's not.
We open on Saint Kingdom with Ketra and Hero being dropped off at the school. This is where... And they get dropped off by Pagan. They go up to meet Relina, and they have a discussion where it turns out Relina is searching for Troa.
Yes.
I think she's searching for all the other Gundam pilots.
She's searching for all the Gundam pilots. She
trying to collect all the...
Troa's last known location.
Yeah, exact coordinates.
Which is a very euphemistic. They do not correct her of, because she's last known coordinates. X32L space coordinates made up space coordinates.
And neither of them said, we know.
That is where Ketra killed him.
Yeah, we were there.
We were there.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't mention that.
No. And then Ketra and Hero get enrolled in Peace Academy.
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna be our first male students.
Yeah, because she says, war hasn't touched this place.
Because Hero is like, I'm gonna leave, right? I'm here to
I just want to pick up my Gundam and get out of here.
Yeah, I want to pick up my Gundam and I want to go. Right? And she's like, no, there's no reason for you to leave because we are surrounded by the Peace Shield. So you are safe here in Lothlorien, which is yet another surprisingly accurate. Doesn't work, but Elsa Bose would have served these people well.
And a magic river, which also would have served these.
The people. Magic River also. No, that's Elrond's house.
Oh right, yeah, you're right. My apologies.
Look, Relina is not, what's her name? Elf Queen Lady.
Galadriel? Yeah.
Galadriel she ain't.
No, she is certainly no Galadriel.
Yeah. Maybe if she had a ring of power, her peace powers would work better. Of course it would. Of course, in secret, Trace would have forged a master ring.
He would too.
Oh yeah, he totally. Trace would be a guy who would pass out rings of power to all the kingdoms of the world, and then in secret forge a master ring. You get the feeling that if he thought that would work, that would be his plan.
Honestly, yeah.
The only reason he hasn't done that is because he hasn't figured out how to make mind control rings.
Yeah, he's working on that technology.
He is. But yeah, so she's like, no, stay, go to school, and Hero just kind of hangs his head and is like, Okay.
I guess I'm doing this again.
And then his clothes change, like, while he's standing there with his head hung, nothing else in the scene moves.
Yeah.
His clothes just change to a school uniform.
Yeah, they just shift from his tank top and shorts.
They literally fade out like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, his fancy school uniform.
Yeah.
And
surprised they didn't do like a left sweeping dissolve.
Yeah. And then they're being introduced. Well, they arrive at school the next day.
Yes.
And all the girls are like, boys.
Oh, wow, boys. Which, I mean, fair.
Oh, wait, no, that was when they first arrived. Never mind.
Yeah.
Before they had the uniforms.
They think Hiro is Ketra's servant.
Or bodyguard. They're not sure.
Because Ketra looks like a fancy rich kid. And
Hiro is in shorts and a tank top.
Yeah.
But it also looks, like a superhuman. So
Right. Clearly a bodyguard. But yeah, they arrive at the school the next day and they're being introduced. And it's like, introduce yourselves by name. And Ketra's like, I'm Ketra Roberta Winner. To which you'd think more of them would be like,
of the
son of the famous Winner family?
Yeah.
But they don't.
Hiro gets a flashback here.
Yes. This is a really important flashback.
Very important.
Because it's a flashback to when Dr. J is first sending him off in his Gundam.
On Operation Meteor.
Right. And they go over
final mission.
I'm gonna send you the details, whatever. We should use a code name. Let's use. He doesn't even say the name. He just says the name of the hero who died fighting for peace in space.
Yeah.
Which Hiro Yui presumably knows. Mm-hmm. Be funny if he got it wrong. No, I meant the other hero who died fighting for peace in space.
He just goes, my name is Trey's Kushra.
Yeah, my name is Trey's Kushra. Wait, what? No. But yes, this is Hiro Yui's code name. It's not his real name.
Mm-hmm.
Which, sure.
It's also just kind of a cool scene.
It is a cool scene. Well, because then he introduces himself as Hiro Yui.
Yeah.
Like after that flashback, there's sort of a pause where I guess the implication is that he's thinking about how to introduce himself.
Yeah.
And I think the idea here is that Hiro Yui is essentially his war name. Mm-hmm. Right? When he hath finally cast off the shackles of war, he may once again go by his true name. I think that's the idea. So the fact that he introduces himself as Hiro Yui means that he's still still fighting. Yeah. Right? He's still a soldier. He has become Hiro Yui. Hiro Yui is who he is now.
Yeah, after that they cut to the fencing.
Which also, why does pacifist school teach fencing? Combat sports are fine, apparently, in Pacifist Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I had a nickel for every time that one of these fencing foils went through their stupid glass fencing plates, I would have 2 nickels.
No, you'd have 3.
Did it go through the plate the other time?
When Zex was fighting...
I didn't think he actually penetrated the thing.
No, he just broke a foil.
He just broke a foil.
Yeah,
I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Yeah.
Maybe they should go back to normal fencing mask.
Yeah, mesh masks instead of these weird, crappy plexiglass.
Right. Because they don't work.
Clearly.
Well, I can't remember if I know we discussed it between us. I don't remember if we discussed it on the podcast. My theory is that they were planning to fight with swords in space. Mm-hmm. That their fencing has evolved to be spacesuit oriented because they're a spacefaring people. Mm-hmm. So they're, if anyone's ever seen Legend of Galactic Heroes, there's some really good scenes where they have sword fights on ships and they have this exact problem of their glass face masks, are easily broken.
Well, notably,
but that would make sense.
Yeah, to roll back and preface what's going on here. Hiro and Ketra are observing. And Dorothy
presumably
challenges
because
them.
They can't, they're not expected to spar with the girls.
Yeah. And they're, kind of wondering if they should just spar with each other.
Right. Yeah, because having been on occasion, at a martial arts class or whatever, where, I'm the only guy, it is oh, there's no one here for me to spar with. That sucks. Right.
And then Dorothy basically challenges them.
Yeah, Dorothy's like, come fight me.
And so
because
Hiro
I love
puts on
to
the
fight.
helmet, not the whole suit, just the
useless helmet.
And there's some fighting, but what's really happening here is Dorothy is trying to get in Hiro's head.
Yes.
Because she knows the context behind his name.
Yes.
And she talks a lot about the name and its connection to legends and how Hiro is about to become
she says the last year there were two guys in space with the same name.
Mm-hmm.
One of them died and became a legend. The next one is on the verge of becoming a legend. Is he also going to have to die? To which, I mean, if Cyberpunk has taught me anything, yes, you have to die to become a legend. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Jackie Wells.
True legend.
Yeah, but yeah, she's basically you're gonna die, and then
she slashes his arm.
Yeah, which okay, sure. I mean, he's not wearing proper gear. That's his own fault.
Yeah, this is why you wear proper.
But
gear.
also, if I had super healing factor, I wouldn't bother to wear sparring gear.
Yeah, that was like a light scrape for him.
Right,
like,
that's
going to be gone in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
tops.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he proceeds to put his foil through the front of her face mask.
The front of her glass face mask.
And basically
it avoids her face. But...
Yeah, and basically is like, yeah, I'm not falling for your psychological mind game bullshit.
Right.
Because it's Hiro.
Yeah, he's like, I know who I am. And also, I'm not afraid to die. Never have been. I've tried to kill myself repeatedly. What do you want about? I have tried to die and become legend repeatedly, woman.
Oh, that brings me back. That was the other point that Dorothy had earlier. That just brought me back.
Yeah, okay.
Because she says to Relina, wouldn't you just die if someone attacked? And Relina said, I'm not afraid to die. And she's like, good. It's good that you're not afraid to die because death is something given to us the moment we're born.
Yeah, yes, that was the other salient point she made. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Living is the slowest way to die.
And we cut now to a crisis that is developing.
Yes.
Noin meets Relina and tells her some Trey's faction guys who were fighting Romefeller. Well, first she tells her that Romefeller is requesting permission to have a battle in the Sanct Kingdom.
Yeah, it's requesting permission to engage in a battle within the Sanct Kingdom, which is so weird. It's weird that this is the system to begin with. It's weird that Romefeller would follow this system, right? Mm-hmm. It's just strange.
And Relina says, well,
no, obviously.
No, obviously not. And she goes, why are they asking? And Noin says, well, some Trey's faction guys retreated into our borders.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have anything to do with us. I'll go tell them to leave.
Right. I mean, this is a real problem that real countries run into. This is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Famously, back in ye olden days, right? Various factions would retreat across the Mexican border so the U.S. Army couldn't follow them. Mm-hmm. Right. That was a thing back in the 1800s, right? Because they didn't want to invade. Despite having invaded Mexico repeatedly, they didn't want to invade Mexico on a whim on this occasion.
At that particular moment,
they were not ready to invade Mexico. This is a problem, right? Because and the politics here is well, if you tell the Romefeller guys no, you're taking a side by protecting these guys, right? That puts you on their side.
And Relina's
so you tell them to leave.
Yeah, and Relina's like, well, wait, can't we just use a loophole and take them in as refugees instead?
Right. Well, because at first she's kind of okay with that plan, and then it's like, well, they're all injured and
oh yeah, and she's like,
they're gonna get wiped out. They're all gonna die if you turn them away, right?
Which maybe Noin should have left that bit out, but here we are.
Maybe should have, but here we are. Honestly, with what the Romefeller guys are actually going to do, it would not have mattered.
No, it would not have mattered.
It would not have mattered.
You'll see why in a second.
Yeah. Relina is like, oh, well, that sucks. Okay, let's take them in as, refugees, and then they'll be, safe here, at least temporarily. And
Noin's
like, that's not going to work.
It's not going to work, but I'll tell them.
Yeah, that's okay.
And notably, the Trey's faction guys know this, too.
Right. They're like, we'll leave or blow all our stuff up. Or what? That's what they set charges to blow up all their wrecks.
Yeah, because what they're planning on doing is essentially blowing themselves up to make them no longer a militant, extant threat.
Right.
And that way, hopefully, Romefeller
will also just disappear. Right.
Yeah.
cast off their uniforms, whatever.
Yeah. We cut to the Romefeller side of this.
Yeah.
Where they're discussing... Well, because notably, the Trace faction guys literally say, oh, we've been herded into this area.
Yeah. The Romefeller guys have explicitly pushed them towards the Sand Kingdom to cause this incident. Yes. This is intentional on their part. They want to attack the Sand Kingdom, and they want an excuse. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where things get weird. Why the Romefeller Foundation feels the need to have an excuse to do this is very strange. But they do.
And the only reason I could come up with, and I think it's a pretty valid reason, it's just a really roundabout way to go about this, is Romefeller is going out of its way to not make the Saint Kingdom a martyr.
Yeah.
And so their plan is, if we push the fight with these guys that are not part of the Saint Kingdom into the Saint Kingdom capital and do a shitload of damage to it, we prove the invalidity of total pacifism as a viable solution.
Right.
While also washing our hands of any responsibility for the damages incurred. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
Is it particularly sound logic?
Yeah. Is it a good plan? No, but that's probably the plan.
And before those guys,
it does seem like the peace magic here is just, well, we can't be attacked because we never give anyone a caucus belly on us. Mm-hmm. Like, that literally seems to be what they're like. You're playing Stellaris, right? And it's just like, no, guys, no.
As certain nations right now have found out, sometimes if someone wants to attack you enough,
sometimes someone has the caucus belly of "I want your stuff," like,
and they will manufacture any
or none.
Well, remember, Russia did have a fake caucus belly.
Yeah.
It's bogus, and everyone knew it was bogus from the get-go.
It's nonsense.
But that's what they said, and they're sticking to it.
Right. Same thing with, like, Israel and Palestine, right?
Yeah.
Like, you attacked us.
The U.S. has done this too. Pretty much everyone's done this at some point.
Everyone in the modern era feels the need to do this, and this is what this show is, a product of the modern era where everyone feels the need to do this.
Yes.
Right. You have to make something up before you can attack, because theoretically that avoids, like, international sanctions. I mean, it doesn't, but conceptually it does.
Yeah. Anyway, before these guys can blow up their military gear, Hito shows up and says, "Hey guys, how about you just join the Saint Kingdom military?"
Yeah, and they're like,
"We're recruiting."
Yeah, and they're like, "What?"
And while
who the hell are you?
Well, that's all going on, Noin shows Ketra her secret hangar full of
mechs,
full of Tauruses.
Yeah.
That have been converted from space use to terrestrial use.
Yeah. Sure.
They've just been painted white. That's about it.
Well, and they transform into plane mode.
Yeah, but they do that in space too.
Yeah, but their plane mode seems to work, like, in ground. I assume the plane mode is the conversion. Like atmospheric flight is the thing that they're good at now.
Yeah.
I only assume this because it's the only mode they're effective in this battle.
Well, no, that's not true. Because there is one instance of the slow blade.
Yeah, they punch through a shield.
Yeah, by the way, Hero is also reunited with Wing Gundam.
Yes, he is. And can finally get back in the robot.
So he goes up to this commander and says, "Hey, come with me if you want to live," basically. And
then just kind of walks out.
And then just walks away.
And they're like...
And the commander goes, "Okay, you guys all, like, finish setting the charges, blow all this shit up, and then I'm going to take a detachment."
Yeah, our, like, three healthiest guys,
are going to go with
this
kid.
Come with me. Because there's a whole, like, well, who the hell is he? It's like, well... The only people who would walk in here with that much confidence and tell us to just, like, come fight are, like,
child
pilots.
Who would walk in here and start ordering us around.
Yeah, must be a Gundam pilot.
Yeah.
Right. And the guy's like, "A Gundam pilot?" Like, yeah.
Yeah, they're around.
Yeah.
They're a thing.
They exist.
Yeah. And
you may have heard of them.
Yeah, you maybe have heard of them. Yeah.
So yeah, then they do that.
They do that. And notably, they set their Leos up as decoys.
They do, yes.
because the Romefeller Foundation sends in the Virgos, and the Virgos annihilate the Leos, but there's nobody in the Leos.
Nobody in the Leos. And then the non-space Tauruses attack from the air.
Well, because what happens is the commander of the Romefeller commander goes, okay, good, everything is proceeding according to plan.
Well, and there's this whole conversation with Relina where, like, he talks to Relina, and Relina tries to use her peace magic on him, and is like, no, they're refugees, like, you can't, and he just, like, is like, I don't care.
Well, he basically says, wait, you took their word for it?
Yeah, he basically says, well, they're liars, and I don't care whether or not
also,
you believe
they might be listening on this channel, so I'm gonna have to cut you off.
So goodbye. And I mean, that's her first lesson in.
Yeah.
Oh, turns out people with guns can just not listen to you, right? Like, they don't have to.
Yeah, and so we get this now scenario where he's like, good, everything is going according to plan. Now push them further into the city and we'll cause some real havoc.
Right.
And we'll show these pacifists
he's specifically like, oh, they're not, like, moving into the city. We're just kind of killing them. Well, all right. Well, we'll just say they moved into the city and go wreck shit anyway.
Yeah. That's when the White Tauruses, and notably Gundam Wing appears.
Well, first the White Tauruses.
Yeah,
first the White Tauruses. And they like kill one Virgo as it's like coming out of the thing, and then like before it does its shields up, and then another one again does the like slow blade pierces the shield thing and punches one.
Yep. And then...
it's much slower this time. He actually has to like force his hand through the shield and then like grabs its head and destroys it. But yeah, it works. Then they see a carrier coming and they're like, "Oh, a carrier. Well, shoot it down."
Well, notably, it's Wing Gundam that shoots down the carriers.
No. First,
they shoot one of the carriers.
Romefeller guys are like, "There's a carrier coming."
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, we're not going to fall for this dumb trick. Shoot it down.
And I'm like, you do know.
Yeah.
That...
This is just how Gundam Wing deploys.
This is how all the Gundams deploy. This is literally how every Gundam that's been in a carrier is deployed.
Right.
They shoot the carrier down, and then the Gundam erupts from the carrier like an angry god.
Yeah, which it proceeds to do.
Yeah.
And then shoot down their carriers. And then the carriers falling. So the other thing that's happened here is that Eyebrows has gotten Relina in a car and taken her to the battle.
To go rubberneck.
Yeah. Well, she's like, have you ever seen a battle up close? To which we're like, yeah, she has.
She's seen some pretty pitched battles up
She
close.
was in one. Like...
She was the centerpiece of one.
Yeah.
With, notably, one of the same participants.
Right, yeah. But anyway...
I was going to say some of the same, but all the other ones died.
It's true. But yeah, so they're driving along this road, and then
one of the carriers... They drive across a bridge.
They're driving across a bridge. One of the carriers that's been shot down is about to, like, hit the bridge.
And hit them, presumably.
And yeah, they, like, have to, like, slam the brakes. And then Hiro, like, shoots it so that it is deflected and doesn't hit the bridge. Sure. Good situational awareness on his part.
And then two Virgos
land and are, like, gonna kill him.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this limo is a designated hostile target.
Right. And Relina, like, jumps out and is like, peace powers activate. And, I mean, they're Virgos, they don't care. Right.
Yeah, she's like, peace powers activate, and then Hero's like, war power activate.
Yeah, it shoots them.
Fire power activate.
Yeah.
The two Tauruses do that.
Yeah, the Tauruses.
Ketra and Noin swoop in and in plane mode take the shots, take out the Virgos, which don't have their shields active because they're shooting at an unarmed limo.
Because Virgos are kind of dumb.
And yeah, this is one of the key elements that is why the Gundam pilots find the Bobble dolls to be so laughable when they're in their Gundams.
Is because they're kind of dumb. They make really dumb mistakes.
They make dumb mistakes, and when you have weapons that are capable of penetrating their shields,
they're useless, right?
Yeah.
They rely totally on their invincible shields, and as soon as those don't work, they can't fight.
They don't have a proper response.
Yeah, which is funny.
And then they land, and they rush over to Relina to see if she's okay.
Well, and like, Noin's like, I take full responsibility. I created this military unit. I take full responsibility for the fact that we have an army now.
Relina asks Hiro for some advice.
Right, like,
and he
because Hiro's like, I'm gonna leave. right?
Yeah, like, I'm okay, cool. I repaid my debt for you looking for Troa.
Right, and you're peace girl, and I'm war boy.
Yeah.
Could it be any more obvious? Anyway, and she's like, well, what would you do if you were ruling the Saint Kingdom as me? And he's like, well, I would have a defensive army.
Yeah.
Right. I would commit to being peaceful, but I would defend myself.
Yeah, I would defend that peace if it was threatened.
Right.
And Relina's like, okay, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit.
She's like, oh, hey, wow, someone grew a brain.
Yeah.
Well, and he also gives this kind of nice speech about basically like, I'm a soldier. Like peace is slowly winning, but there is a war currently happening that I have to fight. I am fighting to build a world that I don't get to live in. Is basically his speech.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's this peace is what all true warriors strive for, etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's partially what like kind of wins her over is like, yeah, sometimes you need to fight so that peace can be possible.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what he says, right? Is like, I'm gonna fight so that dialogue can happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he literally says you have to fight long enough for dialogue to then be possible. Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
it's really good. It's like, oh yeah, no, that scans. Like,
that is completely 100% sensible. I don't know why anyone didn't realize this sooner.
Right. It's because they're all weirdos.
And Relina agrees to
Relina's like,
fund
sure.
Noin's.
Yeah, we will fund it is the SDF.
It is the SSDF.
Yeah.
Or I guess the SKSDF.
Yeah.
The Saint Kingdom Self-Defense Force.
Saint Kingdom Self-Defense Force. I mean, it's not going to be all that defensive for very long.
No.
But that's the
But they sure tried.
Yeah. And that's the episode.
Yeah. And
it's a good one. It was good, solid. It brought it all together in a way that made sense. Had some good fights, some good character moments.
Yeah.
Also, Eyebrows is like in the car in the driver's seat, like struggling to get up, and just no one cares. It's very funny. They're all having this conversation, and she's like slumped over the wheel, like trying to move herself, and just no one gives a shit.
And she's kind of like, I guess you win this time, Relina Peacecraft.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell whether or not she has some like weirdo crush on either Hiro, Ketra, or
Relina, because she like lovingly fawns over all of them from a distance.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing.
She acts very Trace-like in a lot of ways.
She does.
She is kind of like this weird like proto-Trace.
Because in an ideal world, well, in their ideal world, right, they would defeat all comers and the two of them would have to fight to see who is the strongest. Like,
right. Well, and she even espouses that soon knights will come to save Relina.
Yeah,
from her naivete.
Which does happen.
Yeah. Well,
when she kind of thinks she's winning here, right? Because she's like, aha, the Saint Kingdom's not as peaceful as it
They have chosen the path of violence.
They have chosen
all.
The path of war. Like,
they have finally embraced war.
I'm not sure she's not like some sort of avatar of a war god.
She might actually be the reincarnation of Hannibal Barca.
But yeah, it's the episode. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And with that, that's going to end this episode. We'll catch you next time with episodes 32 and 33. We are in the home stretch.
Sure are.
We are well into the home stretch here. And
but I think you mean we have like 10 episodes left.
Yeah, but for an episode...
more like 15.
Well, yeah, but for a show this long...
Yeah,
that's... Yeah, sure. We'll have anime later on where we'll finish in like 6 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll also have some animes where we probably don't do 2 episodes an episode.
Yeah.
Because they'll be more complex, longer episodes. These episodes are short.
Yeah. Well...
Shortish.
No, they're standard length.
No.
They're 24 minutes long. That's about standard length for an anime episode.
Yeah, but as we get into more modern animes, that's not going to be the case anymore.
No, that's absolutely going to be the case. Rarely do I ever run into a modern anime that has a longer than 24-minute episode.
Okay.
And yeah, with that, we'll catch you next time. Peace.
See ya.